So Nico Iamaleava is or wasn't at practice today. This from Chris Lowe. Of course, there have been other reports, including yesterday with On3 and Pete Nakos, and we'll get to that in a moment, who reported that there was a little bit of something going on. Maybe wanting more money, whether it's his agency or he or his father or all of the above. And we'll have a note from his father in just a moment, too. You have the big spring game showcase, whatever they're called these days, tomorrow in Knoxville. And yet today, he did not show up at Friday morning's practice. Chris Lowe also mentioning that the reps were adamant that Thursday that the news outlets that had been negotiating or reporting the negotiation were wrong. In fact, here's another note from Nico's father. More games being played off the field than on the field. And he takes a shot at Pete Nakos from On3, called and asked me directly. I told him I had no idea what he's talking about. He said his close source that he trusts with his life from the University of Tennessee gave him this, as far as the story that they were wanting to renegotiate his NIL deal. Shannon Terry, who's the owner, CEO of On3, then responded, is a terrific young reporter who works as hard as anyone. First to arrive, last to leave. He puts his name on his work. If being a bold reporter with excellent sources and integrity is a sign of a bitch, then please send more my way. We are hiring. So there's another graphic we'll get to in a moment that was kind of a flippant type graphic of Nico. And I don't know. We don't know the truth here, but I do think we know Pete Nakos. I don't think Pete Nakos reports something just because he decides he wants to be front and center. Paul and Craig, your thoughts about this drama in Knoxville, Tennessee?
Well, it was bound to happen that we were going to have holdouts and things like this. I think Nico's dad is mad because Pete Nakos blew up their spot. They were trying to keep this under wraps, and that is foolish because if you've got a guy who we already know has a massive NIL deal, massive, and was the quarterback of a playoff team last year and was the quarterback of an SEC playoff team that had that playoff game at home and lost the eventual national champion, that this is going to get attention if even just a little, dust of it, comes out. And so Pete Nakos, and look, Shannon Terry said it. That's his boss. Pete Nakos is one of the best, hardest working guys in the biz. He is not going to go to this and make a fool of himself. So I do think that Nico's dad is mad because they got their spot blown up and the secrecy is out there. And the PR hit right now is really all on Nico. Now, there's a bunch of Tennessee fans that are going to be mad because they'll say that Pete Nakos' report is what blew this up. No. Nico doing a holdout is going to blow this up. And many of the reports we're hearing is that this not only caught the coaches off guard, but none of the players saw this coming either. And these are the things that, look, if you're Nico Iamaleava and you were getting, an $8 million contract, and then you decide to blow it up at the end of spring when your team, if you had decided to just transfer a normal way and go for more money, they would probably understand that. They wouldn't be thrilled about it. But to do it on the timetable you're doing it, to try to railroad Tennessee into giving more money. Now, look, most of the time I'm not on the side of the schools in this, but the way this has been carried out, it appears to be pretty shady. And if I was a player on that team, I'd be like, hey, man, we're not all making what you're making. We're out here too. Let's be in this together.
Yeah, the days of teams being held hostage by the players really sucks. And I know that they've been held hostage by coaches, and that sucks too. Either way, whichever direction the wind blows, it's a situation that sucks for the fans. Whether it's a coach that's 1 foot out the door or a player that's leveraging his talents for more money. It's just a story that has the fans caught in the middle and just wanting, obviously what's best for their programs. And so when there's so much mystery and back and forth talking going around, there's a lot of mud being slung around.
Check out my go-to polo from Flag and Anthem. It's everything you want in a golf polo, but you can wear it at a dinner, to a barbecue, whatever your plans are. It's extremely soft, super comfortable. Check it out, flagandanthem.com.
And it's an unfortunate couple of days for Tennessee fans who just want to go watch spring football and root on their team and hope they make the playoff again next year and hope this quarterback's as great as he was made out to be when he was a recruit, because quite frankly, he's not yet lived up to that, although he's had a moment here and there. But I'll tell you what blew it up. I mean, I think Paul's exactly right. I think Daddy is pissed that their whole secret got blown up and put out there on blast because it's much easier to do the dirt in the dark, right? And so now the light's being shown on it, and now it's not so easy because while you're doing whatever you're doing and you're denying anything is happening whatsoever, you know what really blew it up, Mr. Iamaleava, and I'm not trying to say that improperly if I am. I'm doing my best there. What really blew that up is the fact that he no-showed today. So that's what really blew the story up, is him no-showing, not the stuff yesterday. If he shows up to practice today, this is a non-story. But he didn't. So the story is suddenly twice as big because, now there's something actually to this because we just talked yesterday and now there's something to it. So that's not on Pete Nakos or on any reporter or on even Tennessee. That's on your son for not being at practice. Now, if he has a twisted ankle or something, I'm sure that'll come out rather quickly. But in light of what was talked about yesterday, he's the one that put a bigger magnifying glass on it. So he only needs to be looking at his son or looking in the mirror. And this all being on the open, just makes it uglier. Clearly something's going on. I mean, you can't deny it at this point. I tried to be very open-minded yesterday and say, like, hey, we're missing some details. This looks a little funky, but I'm sure we'll hear more about it, and then that will fill in the blanks, and then maybe it's not as big of a deal because it's like Sam Kahn said to us, no, this is normal. You renegotiate at the end of spring ball or whatever. And I just took him, as being an expert in the portal, that's part of the process, and so maybe I'm overreacting to it. But then this happens today? No, I don't think there's overreacting to it. There's obviously something actually happening behind the scenes.
Chris Lowe, I'm going to read just a couple of things just to kind of go through the bullet points of this. His reps, Nico's reps, adamant yesterday to news outlets that there was no NIL renegotiation going on, but sources telling ESPN there has been growing frustration among the administration and players about the situation, especially when he didn't show up for practice. Right before the winter portal closed, the reps wanted to see his deal, Nico's deal, up to $4 million range. And again, this time as the spring portal opens next Wednesday. And then, of course, the spring game coming up tomorrow, practices, their last one being today. Chris Lowe also said there's one thing to add, that Josh Heupel and Iamaleava have a very healthy relationship, but this is not the first time that the reps have talked to other schools over the last few months, and the SEC does not allow transfers within the conference during the spring portal. Now, when the semester ends in May or June, yes, but not during the spring portal. So those are some of the notes on Nico, and also this story that has blown up in college football.
Well, I don't think that the push to get him is coming from inside the house, so to speak, in the SEC. I think whoever is trying to get him is outside that conference.
BYU?
Look, it would not shock me at all. I actually think it might be USC.
They got a damn good quarterback. Yeah, I know you're talking.
I really think that it might be USC. I'm not trying to say it, but he's from the West Coast. They're who can you go get? Who would they're probably not all that thrilled with their quarterback situation right now. They're not ringing the bell like they were before at that position. So it's my educated guess.
All right. Chris Lowe also saying this. It did not, the leak from yesterday that led to Pete Nakos in the report on On3 is it can confirm it did not come from Spire Sports, which is, of course, Tennessee's collective arm, not his representatives. That is Tennessee's collective arm, the NIL collective arm. So that is also of interest too. So my goodness, I don't know where this is going to end up, but it doesn't seem like it's going to end up very well, no matter what the final destination might be.
Well, I mean, we'll see more tomorrow, right? We'll see if he's out there and he's practicing and they're closing out spring and style with everything all settled and nice and happy and PR friendly and all of that, or it's just going to become a bigger story as we get into the off season. And I'm of the camp, as I said yesterday, of I get he's a good player. He's not a great player yet. He's not one of the best quarterbacks in college football just yet. So if I think I was in the Tennessee fan base and everything appears to be what it is, I would totally be of the camp of almost let him walk. But then I know the alternative is well, then what do you do? Mm-hmm. And especially when you've got a season primed up where you feel like you were just in the playoff and you feel like you can get back there. And so that's the pickle you're in as a fan of, you'd probably love to just be all right, you know what, leave. Go play wherever and make $8 million. Good luck to you. But damn, then what happens to my team? Like, then all of a sudden we don't have our starting quarterback. It's nearly May at this point. Spring ball's over. The portal's just a blip compared to what it was when it first opened up. So, yeah, you're putting everybody in a tough spot. I'm sure it will all get worked out. I say that because I'm just trying to, be positive, and maybe it's just online drama that, like a lot of things, gets magnified, and it's all able to be settled in real life, with real conversations, not throwing stuff over Twitter between the dad and the booster and the whoever. Like, maybe they actually, like adults, log off and they go talk about this, and then they tell the public what happened. I know I'm probably asking for too much there, but I'll assume that eventually the adults will realize that's the best method of action rather than playing it out over social media. But you know what? We'll see if that'll be the case or not.
I've known Brad Adcock. He's been in coaching. I've known him for a long time. This is what he put up in response. And when I just retweeted what Chris Lowe said, a couple of things he said, it won't happen because college boosters and coaches are spineless. But Tennessee needs to tell him and his pops to kick rocks.
I agree.
I
totally agree.
Yeah, no. Then 0 other college programs need to take a look at him as a transfer. Like I said, wishful thinking. But until that happens, this will only get worse.
Look, I'm on the side of the players on most everything, but I am of the opinion nowadays of, like, at some point the schools do need to bite back again a little bit. Like, and I don't know to what extent they can do that. Like, I don't know how you can, quote unquote, I don't want to look at it as punishment, but you got to get your teeth back.
Yeah.
I mean, you are toothless as hell. And, you got your teeth knocked out by law and by government and by the rules of the order that we have in this country when it comes to, paying people and employment and things like that. So they got their just due. That was a long time coming. They had been asking to get a bit of a whiplash for a very long time, and we're all in agreement on that. The schools got away with murder for decades and made billions of dollars off the backs of athletes. And now you're in a situation where the athlete is basically first class in everything, right? And getting not just the facilities and all that to try to say, no, we're paying them the money. Like, see, they get these great meals and these great clothes and all this, and this education, of course. But now they're getting all the money they want on top of that. But at some point, if you're going to be held hostage every year, and you're going to have a situation where you're priming up for maybe a playoff run, and now your quarterback, who's already been paid really well, suddenly wants to renegotiate at the very end of spring ball or something, like, yeah, at some point you wish a school would just go, you know what, yeah, screw you, see you later, go have fun at USC or
would you
wherever
have had more respect for him if he would have played in the spring game and then entered the portal and moved on?
I mean, I don't really hold that for him to be. I mean, like, you know what? I mean, he's a young guy who I don't know from Adam, so I guess to your question there, I would respect it if everybody would just say what's really happening.
No, okay. Well, yeah, that would just clear the air. It is a mess. I reached out. We have had 3 to 5 different Tennessee volunteer writers, whether it's a message board or a website or whatever, the Tennessean, et cetera, reached out to several of the writers, and they said, we don't have time today. And they're always available. So Pat Smith from, again, 3-man front, the WJOX in Birmingham, will give us his feedback from the capital, basically, of the SEC and from what he's learned himself. And
it just makes me cringe when I hear it. I know it's totally just the way things are now, but when I hear his reps tell us that, and it's just like his freaking reps, like who, his dad and his agent, okay, whatever. That just sounds funky to me, but I know I just need to get used to it. It's just still hard to kind of swallow that sort of reporting on a college football player, but it is what it is. I'll say Chris Lowe's not going to put out a bunch of bullshit.
No,
so I think if he's putting it out there that this has happened now multiple times, then that's when I'm really in the camp of Tennessee needs to say, if they were afforded the opportunity to say, kick rocks, dude, because that's where I'm coming from with the teeth thing. Is like, you can't do this yo-yo thing all the time. Like, that's just not good business. If we want to make everything about business, that's not good business. So if you want to be business-like, then you need to be doing good business with each other, and every few months saying, we need to renegotiate again, when you haven't, nothing's changed really, other than your leverage probably.
Did he win the Heisman? No. Did he win a playoff game? No. Did they win the national championship? No. Did they win the SEC? No. So,
and I totally get his side of like, if I can squeeze more money out, I'm going to squeeze more money out, but that doesn't make it, right.
I would be, if I were him, if I was worried about money, maybe marketing my name in a advertising sense. If that's the case, his people should be trying to do that, and maybe they have. and they've hit the wall. So this is what they have to do. Now, I consider myself a bit of a PR maven. I think I'm pretty good at it.
A maven?
A maven. Yes, a maven. I'm an amateur PR person. Like if it was at the Masters, I would be there. I would be there. I'm probably not going to win the thing. But I think my advice to Josh Heupel would be, look, you have PR on your side. Like you have the story on your side right now. So if you do, look, they'll give you a year. And also, I do think this will happen. If Nico Iamaleava goes in the portal this week, then somebody's going to say, hey, Tennessee's got a lot of money out there. I might go in, and you might get to a quarterback that can get you to 9 wins, especially in that offensive system that Josh Heupel has made. He's picked it up from a lot of other people, but also, if you remember this, Josh Heupel won a national championship by not being the best quarterback in the world. He was able to distribute around and create a lot of different things. They've been able to do that with some guys that are just, Hooker's good. Milton was good. Iamaleava has got this plus level talent, but he hasn't hit there yet. So if they can find somebody that can walk and chew gum, they can be 9-3 easy. And then he can say, look, we're going to go all out and find another 5-star quarterback. Don't worry about that. But I'm doing this for the other guys on the roster because Nico, it's not about me. It's about those guys and the 100+ guys who are there working and not doing this, trying to pull the rug out from under them. I think you've got a little bit of PR on your side.
And man, is spring ball, I mean, I know that there's players for Tennessee that got better this spring, but does it make it feel even more relevant when all of a sudden by the end of spring you need to change your starting quarterback potentially because he's renegotiating his contract?
We mentioned yesterday they have a freshman that's on campus who I guess may be a second-year guy, and then one that entered during mid-semester. That's it.
Yeah, and I know it doesn't wipe away all the good work that was done by the rest of the team.
Right.
But when you're talking about getting ramped up for next season and heading into the offseason, and
this is a huge
you get to the end of spring
stick.
and what's supposed to be like a playoff run or something, and now the starting quarterback, his dad's fighting with Tennessee people on Twitter about his